Hi, everybody. It is Vicki Ross, and I am back for day 27 of Inktober. It's the first time I have ever done Inktober. It's the first time I've ever completed one. I've got 4 more days to go, or 5. I did iCAD a day, index card a day with Shannon Green. I made one day, and she made, I think, 3. So completing challenges is not a priority in this household, but I enjoyed this one because Chris Legaspi, drawwithchris.com, did a challenge for Inktober with heads. Hey, Gail, good to see you. So this is a live video, and if you want to skip through any of the parts, please feel free. There. Yeah, me too. It sounds like a good idea at the time, and then you get distracted or something else comes along. And I'm very proud of myself for completing this. Of course, he had lots of leeway planned from doing time drawings in the beginning to then segueing into a few skull drawings and anatomy drawings, or you could do a master challenge. So I did a little bit of the first 2 and finished off with the master challenge. And it's been really fun to see how the different masters treated their line, the line of the drawing. Some outline parts and some just scribble. Some do a little bit of hair and some just do the shape of it, toned. And this is the one I did yesterday, and the chin is way too short, but I double checked everything else and it's correct. So I could just come back in here and add that little chin. Or not. Oh, I didn't check my hand. Come on now. Every time it moves, you have to remeasure it. Okay, so tip to tip. Yeah, I'm a little bit small. And tip to the back. Yeah, a little bit small. But that's what this is for. Hi, Joycey. Good to see you on this cold Arkansas day. We had a little bit of snow last night. Got down to 32 degrees, and Randy made the mistake of leaving the bedroom dark with a blackout curtain, and I slept the entire morning away, just like a teenager. Let me have some sleep time, and I'll use it. So I've been doing most of these from digital, but I've been practicing new ways for me to grasp what it is I'm doing. I didn't have the benefit of going to art academies like Sargent and John Singer Sargent and the Russians. They definitely got academic training where you spend nothing but a year on noses and eyes, you know. So I've had to piece together tools that will help me jumpstart. Yeah, it didn't stick, but there was some snow, and it's been raining for 3 days. We had my dad's funeral yesterday. It was supposed to just be graveside only. Thank God their room where they hold bigger funerals or longer funerals was available, so we were able to sit inside, but it wasn't heated or cooled. It was cold. It was late last night before I could finally work my knee to get across the room. But all is good on that front. Thank you, Gail. That's why I've kind of been out of routine the past few weeks. His heart just gave out. He was 94. So he was ready. But my mom is 92 and living now in a 3,500 square foot house by herself. So we're not sure how all that's going to work out. It'll work out however she wants it to work out. She is not feeble in any sense of the word. So we determined I was off on the hand. I haven't done a whole lot of hands. This kind of drawing is sketching. The way you would use it and the way these famous people used it was to sketch in trains and restaurants and sports arenas and, wherever they happen to be, they could pull out a pencil and a piece of paper. So they're not always accurate likenesses. If I were painting this, it would be perfect. But when you're doing it on the fly, it's really, really good practice. And all it does is it trains your eye to see. I've still got tilt problems. I mean, I do problems like everybody else. Now, that's the tilt. So if I slide it over here, you can see that mine is a little bit too low on the right side. So mine's more like that. So it's, it can be off a 1/16 of an inch and show, but then you have to make sure that everything from your line, now if you weren't looking at the original, you'd never notice it. You take it from your eye line straight down parallel to the nose, and see my nose on this side is pulling up a little bit, and then we get down to the mouth, and it's about right, but not quite. That's where I noticed it was a little bit off. But like I said, this is training the eye, and a lot of theirs were horribly imperfect. When I was doing some Rembrandts, I noticed they almost always had the noses bigger than what we count as in general. I forgot the word. In general likeness, where you have your nose and you have that's the same as the eye, and then same as between the eye and the other eye. And then if you take two eyes and measure from the brow line to the bottom of the nose, there's your brow line. And then the mouth line is a third from this space to this space. Well, see, I've got it half. But that's the thing with ink too, is because you can't erase it. So you're pretty well stuck. But that's where the good is in this kind of practice. Gail, they're easier if you think of them as mittens. Like draw a mitten, don't draw the individual fingers until later. And by mitten, I mean in this case, it would be as though the hand were in a mitten. More like that. So if you then all you have to measure is that side, and then you do your fingers in the middle. So that's a real easy way to do that. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, I think you can see that. So that works really, really well. But like I said, this is just practice drawing, and my attention span, y'all know about my attention span. I get in a hurry. I just want to be done. So I got my new sweatshirt on. I finally found one that was 80% cotton at Sam's Club. Got my fleece-lined leggings and pair of hiking shoes. I don't wear lamb's wool house slippers in the studio. I need something more like steel-toed boots. Y'all don't forget that the get me to 800, or no, get me to 2,000 subscribers. Can't call it a raffle. Giveaway is going on until I get to 2,000, and you can see that on it's on my blog. Hey, Mohammed. Mode. I'm gonna call you Mode. Is that okay? I know somebody else that's MOH apostrophe D. So that was my yesterday's. I didn't write on that what it was. That was day 26. I think that's right. Well, you could look. Day 25. That one turned out really good. That was the day before the one I just showed you. Day 26. I'll show you some of the ones I did. I don't know if y'all have seen them or not, but here you go. Show and tell. I like the way this one turned out. This is what I was talking about by the hair. You don't draw hair, you just draw, rough outline, and it really works well. I think this is the same girl and maybe his daughter. See, here's our goof. What I was doing, I'll show you. Pencil. Who's got the pencil? I've done this when I was doing my silver point drawings on playing cards. I rigged this diagram up so it would fit exactly the size I was going to, but what I had was a normal tic-tac-toe grid. Y'all can't see that. And it was measured, so it was correct. And then you kind of plot where you want the layout to be. And I did this in Procreate. Then you can also do it in Photoshop with layers. So then I have a duplicate of this grid on another layer. So let's say that I put my picture back here, and let's just say for grins, it was going this way. That was the tilt of the head. And so we've got an eye right here, and we've got an eye right here. Then I would turn that grid, the duplicate. I would actually turn the whole thing like that. And then I would know that these lines were my chin, my nose, eyes, brow line. Actually, in thirds, it would be the brow line. But then what happened was, as I was sitting in my chair, I could measure from this line to the paper and tell how much it was up. So it was kind of like a tool for working on your tilts and stuff of heads. I know that doesn't make a bit of sense, but I know what I did. I had another. I don't know where it is. I had a small white grid on acetate that matched the grid here, so I could hold that and mark it on my playing card. Anyway, that's those are the kinds of things that I create for myself to help it become automatic in my brain. And once it becomes automatic in your brain, you don't have to have the tools anymore. So you can use them for comfort, if you will. This one I tried using the Elegant Writer, but that color, I thought it was the black, and it wasn't. The black has colors in it, but that was just an experiment. And this guy turned out pretty good. I think she turned out good. But I like Anders Zorn and Fechin's style of drawing better. And Rembrandt, good Lord, this is Zorn. He does characters. I mean, strange characters. I think that one turned out pretty good. And these are the same. Sometimes if I felt like I was on a roll, I'd do another one just like it. Here's one of Rembrandt's. And that eye is perfect almost. And this one I missed a little bit. And he could have, you could refine these all day long, but I wasn't doing it to be a finished drawing. I was doing it to be a sketch. And that one turned out pretty good. That one turned out pretty good. Her chin's low, but here you can fudge. You can kind of see that the scarf may have fixed it. That one turned out. That was Sargent. I like his style of drawing too. Here's the skull practice. I only did a couple days of that because unless you're going to be a medical illustrator and draw faces and heads as though they were on this form, the skeleton, you don't really need to know about all that I use in painting is this demarcation, this bone, and it comes here and back, and then it comes here and down and down. So it's kind of an odd shape that follows the muscle structure on the side. And then this is the cheekbone, which you use. It's all in your seeing. I don't know what I was doing here. And this one is a timed pose. And for the time poses, Chris was using drawthis.com. And it's the next best thing to be in life drawing because they have the poses timed with a clock, like 3 minutes, and then they'll do several 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And so the theory being, if you were in academic school, you would draw each of those and have it done as well as you could in that time frame. So that's what all this, when you only have 3 minutes, you figure out ways to make those 3 minutes last. So in this one, I was playing with the circle as a beginning of the head, and then, just lengthening that. I got that from Chris because he'll get his picture and he'll do this circle shape, and then he comes down several times, and he gets pretty good results on this axis, on the vertical axis, by doing it that way. And again, once you get these features where they are most likely to be, then you can alter the outside features. When I paint, I mostly paint from the inside out because it's easier to correct. And here we were practicing on his eyes, which kind of messed me up. If you take the eye socket, this is the eye socket. See how big that is in relationship to where your eye would be? And right on the top of that socket is the brow bone. That's where the eyebrows go. So this whole thing is the eye. The eye fits in this hole. And so what he was having us do was turn it into straight lines, which is easy in some cases. Do a straight line and then you can round it. So like a in that corner to corner. Let's see, what would that be? 6 sides. It would be kind of an octagon or hexagon, one of those. Now, and here's the socket, and this is the eye inside the socket. So you can see, and everybody has a ball that fits in that socket. That's not up for conversation. So it's the skin over the eye that identifies a person by how that skin sits. And then the eyeball moves depending on which way you're looking. Here's some more. Just practicing sideways eyes that like some of these that would be squished a little bit because the head is turned, like here. These are some more of the timed drawings. And you'll see one every once in a while that looks right. She has no chin. He's got a long face. But by doing over and over and over, you get where you're going, hopefully. Hi, Rosemary. I'm just talking about my Inktober and how much I have learned and actually enjoyed. So, day 27. We're going to have a celebration when I hit all 31. This is Fechin, one of my favorite artists, Russian-born. The Russian-born folks really know what they're doing. Today I am going to do, I think I'm just going to do that one. It's a nice one. It's his daughter. Yeah. Melon farmer's daughter. So I'm going to let y'all see that. Yeah, that turned out, that's good. And I'm going to be doing it from my iPad. And I get my picture if I'm doing if I'm doing real drawing or painting, I work with a print that's same size. And that's another one of my tools that helps me. I can do it without, but it's still a tool that I like to use. So in other words, I'll get the eye and the nose about where I want them to be and mark it on my screen, and then just come over here and I kind of know the mark of that nose. If I want to go a little bit bigger, I can do that. So the first thing I do is I get the horizontal, the vertical. His head is held square, but it's tilted to the side just a hair off vertical. And now we know that, I'm going to put this on up here. We know that this section right here where the eye line is, we know that this is perpendicular and makes a cross, okay? Now from there, you can tilt the eyes however you want to. These happen to be straight, so I can just bring this line out on straight. There's my eye line. My pupils, pupil, kind of, sort of. That's about right. Maybe a little bit. Don't have to be accurate. And the inner, I'm measuring from this center line on my photo to the little red thing. And that is not right. Pupil. Nope. So you get sometimes where it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you tool yourself out of you do things that don't make sense. I don't know why that didn't measure right. Maybe because I wasn't holding it right. I wasn't measuring right. So now what we have with this information, I can't help you guys see it. We've got our pupils. He's looking straight at us. So those are his pupils. Now I'm going to measure from the edge, the outside edge of one eye, to the inside edge of the other eye. Because we have eye width, eye width, eye width. And we have eye width to the hairline, which changes depending on how the head is swiveled. So I know that that's the eye width. Where are you going with this? I got to do, because the nose, I need to place the nose. So the nose is going to be right about here, and it's still going to be parallel. And I'm just going to draw in the brow bone. Now that should be the two eyes. And it's not. So that means that I need to come up on the brow bone a little bit. And go down with the nose a little bit. So then I double check it. And there you have it. So eye width, eye width, eye width. This is kind of an arbitrary thing because the eyebrows are expressive. So, if you're painting a woman, she might have one of them raised. So you just kind of have to guesstimate where that is. But this is two eyes. And then from the bottom of the nose to the chin, you have the same two eyes. So it's in thirds. This is where my diagram that I just showed you matches the tic-tac-toe triangle. It just happens that this is fitting on that line. But anyway, that's how that grid helps you. Now the mouth is about a third down in this space. So instead of going halfies, you go third. Now then, the eyes on a full skull are halfway from the chin to the eyes. So that means the skull of this little girl will be up there. And there, my friends, is probably up a little bit higher. That's the skull. Now the nose, you can draw a straight line from the inside of that eye. And the nose is this wide. Have I lost anybody yet? Hey, Beck, hadn't seen you in a while. I'm giving a rudimentary lesson on my Inktober. Now, as you go, I've told y'all this before, but it bears repeating. Remember, I stressed this being a plus sign, and it's totally perfect. Now, then everything can tilt, go back, but this line in between your nose and your eyes stays the same always. It's not moving. It can look like it did, but it doesn't. Everybody has an inclination. They may get this line on the eyes right, and they might get the brow line right. As they start coming down to the nose, they start automatically flattening that nose. And then when you get down to the mouth, it will be horizontal with the world. So be aware of that. 9 times out of 10, that's what makes a picture show up as being off. I hate you. y'all are looking at this, and here's the little boy's head, and I've got it that same size on my iPad over here. So let's go. Now, I told you that the eye socket, about like that. That's the size of the eyeball. And we're going to put the eyeball right on that line. And then I'm going to draw from the line, the horizontal line of the eye, I'm going to draw the upper crease for the eyelid. And they're not almond shaped, they're different. This one is a little bit higher right here from the line, and then this is deeper here. So it's kind of like this is your little doinky thing. I need to find out what that's called, don't I? Now look at where the eyeball is positioned here. It's just barely touching the bottom. Okay, now that's my eyelid. So now I'm going to come back in here and draw where the eye goes. Can you see? Can you see? Okay, now the brow line is on this line, and look at where it starts. It starts right about the beginning of the eye. And it follows the eye socket, this socket that we drew. So then the personality comes in, and there's your eyebrow for this little person. Close. I mean, it's, like I said, that's a lot of personality because you can move them. And if I want to check it, I can measure from the iris of the eye to the bottom of the brow, and it's right there. So again, on this side, and then of course you get the women, especially the vintage women, whose eyebrows go up like this and down, and their brow bones right here. That's what makes them look so funny, is because they're not natural. All right, now I'm doing another eye the same way. I'm not going to draw the socket. Y'all got that? Here's my little red thing. I'm going to draw the upper eyelid first, and it's taller on the left side, and then it slopes down like that to the other side. And then here we've got it a little bit lower right there, and we bring it up like that. If you want to measure, that's the opening, that's the opening. Okay, so measure from the top eyelid to the bottom, and it is right. So now I'm going to fix this little eyelid. And the eyeball touches the bottom, but is cut off at the top. And I usually put the iris, you can sometimes make them a little bigger, a little more dramatic, but those are all personal decisions. Okay, now I'm going to come down here from the brow bone, and I'm going to bring it down right like that. Actually, it should come out like that. The bottom of the nose is a ball. And so then this side, I'm going to come from the eyebrow down about like that. This one's a little off. It's like building a house. Whoops. You don't want to spill that. Now, double check all the time. So there's my horizontal line, and my nose is off about 1/16 of an inch. Not much, but if you take that 1/16 and then add an 1/8 down here, it's much. Okay, so there's the ball of her little nose, and it comes up like that. And then the sides of the nose are just little flanges. You can call them a ball if you want to, but there's the side of the nose, and this comes down like that. These curve around a little bit, and there's your nose. Now I check because the nose is this distance. I want to check it on the picture. So I check from the little red thing to the side of the nose. Little red thing to the side of the nose, and it's right on. Now the other side of the face will be the same, and I'm not. So I'm going to try it again on this side. Yeah, it's the same. So now I've got to figure out, where am I off? It's got to be right here. I'm going to measure it again on the right-hand side. See, it's up. That can't be. That can't be. That's better. They're both kind of off. I'm going to leave it, and we're going to go ahead because it may be something that I'm not seeing. Now then, we go to the mouth. I'm going to measure it from the bottom of the nose to the mouth, and it's exactly where I estimated it would be. This line is the line between the lips. Now remember, we're still on our vertical axis here. So this is where the thing I never can remember the name of, the lip comes up a little bit, and then it comes down. I forgot to do this. And in general, it will be lined up with the iris of the eye. So now this little guy, girl, hold your pencil up to your picture and see where the edge of her mouth falls. The edge of her mouth is falling over here. So that means I can remember now, this is the middle line. So it comes in, it goes up, and it comes back down. And on the other side, it's just right here. Both sides are pretty even. Now I'm going to measure it with the original. Not right on target. That's because I went. It's close. Now, because these artists were just people, their things are not accurate, nor did they intend them to be. So that's the middle. So now just come up, draw your little heart shape, Cupid mouth. Got that too high. The underneath lip, just indicate it with a line. And I'm going to measure again from the bottom of the nose. And I'm a little low, which means that this upper lip might be up just a hair. Now you want the center of the mouth completely lined up with your, which my nose isn't. Okay, so we want this lined up exactly here. All right, now we got that. Now I'm going to measure from the bottom of the lip to the bottom of the chin. Bottom of the lip, and I'm right. So see, my original assumptions fit pretty good on this little child. And then the chin. Hold on, I gotta take a drink of my lunch. If I were Nikolai Fechin, I wouldn't do this because he probably didn't need to. But I've seen fine artists do it. The next thing I'm going to measure is from the corner of the mouth completely sideways to the actual picture. And I'm on a slant, so about right there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, if the head is twisted just a hair, you're liable to get a different measurement on each side because the head is tilted. It might be turned just a little bit. So it makes this measurement more than this measurement. The other thing that I do, now remember, I'm coming at this as a painter when I'm painting commissions. So I've got to have it right, or it doesn't look like anybody. I'll also measure from the corner of the mouth to the edge of the cheek. Try to hold the same angle. About right there, and I'll do it again on the other side. Can you trace it? Of course you can. Now, the trick is the chin is here. And then we've got now then, the muzzle comes around like that from the nose, edge of the mouth. And that is the bone structure that you get from the skull. Now over here, you get this kind of a something kind of like that. Hairline should be another 2. So there to there to there is the hairline. So we've got 2 eyes, 2 eyes, 2 eyes. You can measure it with whatever you want. You can pick an ear, and then everything would be measured to that ear. Now the neck. Look where the neck lines up with the eye, and it's just about right there. And it comes down about like that. And on this side, it's the same because he's pretty much looking straight on. Fechin has that one coming in, which wouldn't really happen, but he's the artist. So I can tell you already that my child will look older. Here's the part. And this is subjective. You don't have to have the hair laying perfectly because it's not going to do that ever again. So, but again, this is the way I do it. So y'all will figure out your own ways of doing things. And I've got that too close to the eye, but it doesn't matter. Now, I'm also measured from the edge of the eye to the outside. Now, that's where this comes in. And it curves out a little bit for the chubby cheek. The ears, line it up with where it attaches, not the earlobe, but where it attaches, and measure to the bottom of the nose. Keep the same angle. Measure to the bottom of the nose, so the bottom of the ear on this side will be there. And on the top side, it will be measured from the edge of the eye, and it keeps the same angle. I think I kind of fudged that angle a little bit, but okay. It keeps the same angle. So you just come up where you get to the edge of the eye. About right there is that ear. It's not the same on the other side. It still measures from the eye. Let me show you. Okay, measure from the nose. Now then, here's our horizontal structure. And that's not that much, so it's going to be, what did I do? Close. It's covered with hair anyway. Now, ears are, you come up for the top of it, and these don't show, so this is where it attaches. And you can come down. And in old people, old men especially, their ears keep growing. But this part pretty much remains the same. All right, so now and we have a dark area here. And see how casually they treat the hair? Yeah, check that nose. It looks a little wide. It's not. But this part comes up further, which makes it look more childish. There are rules for children. Like I just said, there's sometimes a little more space between their eyes. And their brow bone is this area right here, which is a bone and goes in. Pretend you're holding the pencil on the brow bone, and it will actually come in brow bone, cheekbone. So it actually comes down a little bit, and the brow bone helps protect the eyeball. So in children, this is not as, right in between the nose, is not as pronounced, which makes this area look bigger than it really is. Okay. It's been a while since I've been in here, but I'm the only one, so it should be right where I left it. I want my this one, since I got a nib that I like. I'm sorry, I got distracted and forgot to look at messages. Bye, Gail. Yes, that is true, Gail, and it's difficult. It's difficult to record where y'all can see it and record where I'm perpendicular. So you really want your paper to be perpendicular. However, because I'm measuring from his drawing, I'll be accurate because I'm not, if I were drawing from a real model, that would even be more true. So that you need your eyes and their eyes on the same perpendicular plane. And what Gail's saying is if you lay it down visually, it will be wider as you go up to the top. She is correct. I'm going to use my homemade Acorn ink. Maybe. I'm going to shake just, well, this is kind of like a jelly jar. I don't trust the lid. Just turn it up. This is a lighter color than tea. Very light color. And the other nib that I was using earlier was scratching the paper. And basically I'm just doing this because I made the ink and I like using it. So if I do the lighter areas with this, y'all smell that vinegar? I'm going to erase that eyeball or the iris. And I'm going to see if I can do my highlights with paper instead of, and her, no. Kind of fills itself in. And again, these are scratchy lines. They're not meant to be, we're not architects here. So you can kind of see it coming a little bit. And a lot of these lines are invisible. You don't ink them. And eyebrows in particular are where you can really show personality. Not globby personality, thank you. And I've preached that to y'all about when you're really working in your studio, be careful with how your paper lays in relation to your eyes. And now I've got that just a little bit too dark for a baby, but we'll leave it. Nothing we can do about it now. That's the challenge of ink. Okay, now I'm going to avoid as many outlines as I can. I'm going to let the shading do that work. And then we come in a little bit. And there is just a little bit, very, very light amount of light hitting that, the inner portion of his, I don't know what to call it, the nose thing, to the side of the nose. And then on the other side, it should be, the light appears to be hitting fairly straight, but on this side, typically it's on the outside of this little nose nostril. And Fechin decided to go ahead and shadow this ball a little bit more. And this side of this one we're shadowing. The shadows aren't consistent, but if you're Nikolai Fechin, you can get away with it. Be real careful with the darks because it is not black up in here. Okay, so we've got that. Now we need to do the mouth. I want to double check. And I'm not quite right. So I'm going to measure. Again, for the mouth, I measure from the iris because that's typically where it, and that typically is way off what I've got. It's off so much I don't think I can fix it. Let's measure from the red dot in the corner of the eye. It's still high, so that means I've probably got too much space right here. And I forgot to check that. That's exactly where that's off. So that will end up making the face look larger. I'm looking, tap that. Darn it. I was being so careful. That means the nose ought to be about right here. And then that would make the mouth be up as well. So I think what I'm going to do is carry on because I would need to start over for this. Let's make sure. So if the nose came around like this and around like that. We can try it. Okay, and there's the iris. This is a sketch. And I moved my... All right, from the iris down. From the inside down. See, I was putting my mouth a little lower. That didn't make sense. That's kind of showing the mouth to be kind of where it is. All right, that's enough diddling. This is for practice. What I am going to make sure of, though, is that I've got these features in line with themselves. And then it can be whoever we want it to be. The upper lip is almost always in total shadow, but the old masters didn't paint it that way or draw it that way. They gave it actual character, like where the little dimples and things are. And try to get out of the habit of drawing outlines. You want your shadows to be the outlines. Now I'll come back with my micron. And he's got an outline on this lower lip, so I'm copying the master. And then it's showing a little, it's not a continuous line. Okay, now the lower lip is the same. I'm glad it's weak. That line right there is this is the bottom of the lip as it rolls back in away from the light. And then we've got some of that same shaping going on. And then this is a shadow from the upper lip. And the mouth is curving like this. And we've got a little crease mark right there. And right there. And then underneath the lip, we have the ball of the chin. And there's always a little bit of light left right here where the underneath, like right there, there's no line and no shading. It's just kind of natural. Now the chin juts out, so around the chin, it's going to curve back in like a ball. And here's a white spot, so we're gonna come down right here. And you can always color it in. And we're going to color it in right here. The main thing is I want you to see how the construction lines can help you. You look away for 1 minute and then the pen acts up. And you can tell that I'm not a calligrapher. Yeah, his little chin has been drawn, leaving a little white space between the color and the outline. Okay, then we've got a little cleft right here. And get that with the darker. Okay, now some more little chicken strokes. Real dark right here. And that's where the cheek would turn in. And the chin turns that way. And so in between them is going to be a dark spot. It follows the shape of the chin. And we've got a white spot here. And then this is darker, so I just have to remember that when I come back. And the little jawbone shadow right here is where the teeth go, and they sink in just a little. So that always creates a little bit of a shadow right there. Now then, we pop up here and get that. Just a little bit. And let's see what's going on. He's got this is usually the white spot, but we're copying an old master. And these are so old. These pictures are old and foxed, with speckles from moisture and mold and stuff. Learning to copy an artist whose work you like, and preferably one that's dead or, qualified old master. I don't generally like to try to copy living artists. Now these little lines here are just little jaggies. It's not really a eyelash, it's just the thought of one. And then we're going to shade. Remember, we're back to a ball. If you don't know those basics of art, you need to study up on what makes a 2-dimension look like a 3-dimension. And then there's shadows underneath the upper lid. That give that eye some form. There's a little shadow on each corner to give it roundness to the sides. There's a big old age spot right there on his nose. I'm not going to put in her nose. Sorry, little girl. Now we're about through with this stage, and then I'm going to go on with the finishing layer. Somebody out there's going, no, that's not how you hold one of those. Now the white line starts right about his jawbone, her jawbone. And then this area is. Now these little under the eye marks, those are also part of that skin covering the eyeball. The eyeball socket is down here more. This is the side of the socket where it's going down. And this looks like a shadow from his lashes. And we can do that with the darker ink. Okay, now sketchy lines for the rest of it. This color is just setting the stage for what's to come. And because these weren't finished, I forgot what I was going to say. Because we're not using pencil shading so much. Or charcoal. This could be a start for a charcoal. Way too old this child is. And I managed to, excuse me, mess up the shape of the eyes a bit. Just working down a little bit of the hair. This is sometimes about all the hair I put on paintings too. Unless the painting is about the hair. And I've decided that after all this month, I think the Micron is my favorite pen. Because you can turn it on its side and kind of get different darknesses. Okay. All right, we're done with that pen. Let's see who else is saying something. AMT, we don't self-promote on somebody else's channel. Sorry. And you'll find most through YouTube that it's bad form to do that. Unless you're asked. All right, now I'm going to start with the eyes, and I'm going to see if I can fix some of these little things I mangled. And here's the upper. Don't forget to register for the giveaway. Ooh, that looks Halloweeny. Okay, now it's where I can kind of try to leave that highlight a little better. And then the eyeball. Pupil, that's what it is. It's not the iris, it's pupil. I'm just going to draw axis lines, AXIS. And then I'm going to put in that shadow very lightly. I butchered it. The eyes are another thing I don't outline, especially the bottom. I might put a few lines there, but not many. I don't draw an outline. And I kind of did here because this is pen and ink and I'm not used to it. So there you go. So if you turn this pen sideways and ink with the side of the little nib, it makes a lighter stroke. And because I have that lighter undertone, I don't have to do as much. Now I'm following Fechin's lines, not necessarily my interpretation. These are little things. Okay, now. There we've got a little point going up there. Too dark, but there you have it. It's fun to try things that are not in your normal wheelhouse. Because what happens is when you go back to your normal wheelhouse, for me is painting, I'll carry these with me, these little things I've learned. Cover in that nose area very lightly, and then come back and put your dark area. About like that. His actually go up a little, hers, but I'm not worried about that. And there I put the nose right back where it was supposed to be, or where I did it to begin with. So do as I say, not as I do. Very lightly. You can always darken. The darkest part of the eye shading is right in this spot, depending on where the light is coming from. And we don't really know on this sketch. I roll the pen around every once in a while to get a little more darkness. So the light is vaguely coming from, boy, those eyes look terrible. Welcome to the world of ink. Because there's a little shadow over here and there's not over here. I am not happy with this, even though my initial drawing was pretty good. And he does have hard lines around parts of this little baby's face. Kind of about like that. The sketch lines. I got those eyes off. Oh well. It's for fun, right? This bears absolutely no resemblance to this child. None whatsoever. My mouth is canted that way. My nose is canted that way. my mouth is too wide. Which, no, it's actually not. I just didn't get the right shape. It's a little fatter right there. Well, I hope y'all learned something today. I learn something every day. Another scratchy line. Oh my. Ink is not my friend. Whew. I think you best leave it alone. What time is it? 5 o'clock. So I've been at this for an hour and a half. And I think I'm going to quit. I might do this again. And I've got the slant off. And just hairs, just minute. Look how young that child looks. I may do it again tonight. If I do, I'll show y'all. Hey, Kim. Yeah. When you don't look at the originals from the masters, you don't really see where they might be off. But when you compare them to a John Singer Sargent or a Rembrandt, you can see. But the value comes in the practice. And again, it's hard to do it online where y'all can see it and I can see it properly. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any questions? Yeah, Kim, I like to think they're so entranced with my lessons that they don't talk. Some chats are just wild. I didn't do the eyebrows. And that's enough. All right. That's about all I can do in an hour and a half. But if I do the other side, I'll show you tomorrow. Okay? I'm over and out, and y'all have a good Tuesday night. Put the lid back on your Acron ink. Will the vinegar that I made it with keep it from molding like alcohol does? I might as well take my picture while I'm here with the lights. Got it. Anybody? Hey, everybody. It hasn't yet, and it's been a couple of weeks. I think vinegar should probably keep it from molding. But if it does, I'll just scoop it out and then put some alcohol in it. Okay, guys. Thanks for coming. I hope you learned something and learned some things to look for, not to do. They abound. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for coming, and I will see you later. Be sure and sign up for the giveaway when I get to 2,000 subscribers. Okay. Bye.